Hi, you guys. I wanted to introduce you to the artist Rembrandt. This is a very well known artist in Western art, and he also used pen and ink for some of his drawings. So I just wanted to go over his work so you're a little more familiar with him. Rembrandt is an artist that's painting in Holland around the 1650s, and this is after Caravaggio. So he's an artist that's greatly influenced by Caravaggio by having these really dark backgrounds. When he begins painting, it's obvious he's totally gifted from the start. And so he gets well known by doing portraits of different wealthy people in Amsterdam. I can't stress enough that he's totally talented. So his portraits are they have really good value range, but then Rembrandt himself, his paintings are known for this like warm, cool contrast in skin tone that's amazing to look at. He's also well known in art history for doing a series of self portraits, which is probably why he was so good at the portraits from the practice. So, this is an early self portrait on the left and a very late self portrait on the right. I should mention that if you wanted to see any Rembrandt paintings, we're really lucky because almost any major museum in Southern California will have Rembrandt paintings. So that's the Getty, the Norton Simon, Arm& Hammer at UCLA campus, almost anyone you go to. Rembrandt, he has like the value of Caravaggio, but then Rembrandt brings to it something very different than Caravaggio. This like tenderness to his paintings that's really striking. So many of his paintings reference the Bible. So this is from a Bible story, Return of the Prodigal Son. It's a very well known topic to do in art, but Rembrandt's painting has a special tenderness to it. And then no one's quite sure what's going on in this painting, but it's called The Jewish Bride, and it's thought to be an older married couple. Okay, but I did want to show you his ink drawings. So I think wasn't labeled, but I'm guessing that's another self-portrait on the left. And looking at the painting, what do you guys think he's using? Is it a pen, like a dip pen, and a brush, I'm guessing? The one on the left, and then I think it's just a brush on the right. These are just studies he's doing. I think it's the same thing, but mainly a dip pen he's using for this. And then this is a very well-known drawing of Rembrandt, but look at that. Just he's able to convey with his brush stroke, I think, or his pen stroke, right? Like the texture of the fur. It's pretty amazing. Okay. We haven't talked in this class about etchings, but etchings are uh, here. I'll just do it this way. This is etching Rembrandt did. It's called the 100 guilder print because guilder are like dollars for us. Guilder is a term of money, and so it's thought that Rembrandt made more money off his etchings than he actually did his paintings. So etchings are a process. It's a printmaking process in which an artist, let me go back to the process so I can show you. On the left, the artist gets a piece of metal. This is usually copper or zinc. And the artist uses a sharp tool to draw lines on this metal, which you can see happening. And the sharp tool makes it similar to drawing. It's not like you're pressing really hard. If your tool's sharp enough, it'll easily make lines in the metal. But the problem is, I hope you've figured this out, you can't erase those lines. So printmaking is a trickier process, but it's related to our drawing process. Once you've made all your lines on the metal, then the strip on the right shows the artist putting ink all over this piece of metal. And then you get a cloth and you wipe off the ink. So the ink is only in the lines that you scratched. And then what's not shown here is the bottom picture on the left. You put this piece of metal with a piece of paper on top of it, and you send it through a printing press, and the pressure of this printing press transfers the ink onto the paper, and then you can pick up this paper and you have the drawing now transferred to it. Now, the beauty of printmaking is that you can now get your piece of metal, re-ink it up, put it back through the press with paper, and make another copy of your drawing. So, printmaking is a process where you make multiple copies of one drawing. Now, we probably use like the internet for the same thing. But in the 1600s, this was a new achievement, and some artists got really interested in this. Rembrandt is one of the artists that got really interested in this process because this would allow him to make drawings and sell them to everyone. If Rembrandt makes a painting, he's probably spending like a year of his life on that painting. So he can't sell that painting for like $10 to the poor person on the street. However, he can make a drawing, and using the print making process of etching, he can then sell that drawing to almost anyone he wants to because he can make 100 copies of that drawing. So some artists get into printmaking, some artists don't. Rembrandt is an artist that got very into printmaking. And his printmaking, like, Rembrandt is a very talented artist, but he's also very free and experimental in what he draws. And so his printmaking is interesting to look at because we can see the same drawing in different stages. So this is what I said before. This is it's a Bible story, and it made him a very wealthy man early on in his life. Rembrandt lives long as an artist, and he ends up dying very poor because he lives so long that the art he created eventually goes out of fashion. And then he's this old man still. He changes, but he doesn't change in the way society changes as an artist. And so as an old man, he's very poor. Okay, so this is another print he does, and you can start to see that this guy, like, unbelievably gifted, right? The countryside, that's amazing. But he's trying to talk about the weather and talk about like what's happening in the sky, and you can tell he doesn't quite have a mark for that, right? So we have some clouds beginning, but then we have these diagonal lines on the left. Is that rain? I don't know really what that is. This is an interesting print because we're going to see two different stages of it. So this is the first print he made. This is again from the Bible. What you need to know about this story is if you know your Bible, this is Christ presented to the people is the official name of this print. It's like Christ and Pontius Pilate. So what you need to know if you don't know your Bible, there's two figures on the stage that are the most important figures in this whole print. So the problem is that when he first does it, there's a lot of figures here, and it's kind of hard to focus on one. But in this story, you are absolutely supposed to focus on one or two figures, the ones on the stage, and it's kind of hard to do so. And so he uses the same plate and he erases his lines. Now, again, this is metal, and I said it's hard you can't do it. You can actually do it. It's very difficult to do. Basically, what you do is you get like a spoon almost, a metal spoon. It's called a burin, and you rub it on the lines you created on the metal, and you rub it and rub it and rub it and rub it to gradually erase those lines. It takes a long time. Most artists would never do that. But Rembrandt chooses to do that to lose the crowd in front. And now you can see, I hope you can see, it'd be good if we were in a class to ask, can you see who we're supposed to focus on now, right? So here's the first image, pretty confusing, pretty chaotic. Still well drawn though. And here's the second image. Okay, so let's see the same thing. This is three figures on a cross. It's another Bible story. Here's his, I think this is his first or second attempt, and then here's his last attempt. So Rembrandt is known as this artist that, I mean, he's just doing marks straight down, like he's getting rid of the whole right part. This guy that goes crazy is willing to experiment, is willing to use any mark he wants to try to tell the story or make the drawing he wants to make. And that's what I want you guys to learn from him, just this willingness to experiment and try something different. Okay, thanks you guys.